but Jira has that advantage. I don't really think people ask this question a lot. Having clear ownership is very important. Jira is not really a tool for heavy reporting. Hello everyone. So in this video, let us talk about how to measure the success or failure of your Jira deployment. Now, when people reach out to me, when organizations reach out to me, in most cases, they don't really ask me, Ravi, we want to measure how successfully we have adopted or rolled out Jira. Now, when companies reach out to me, of course, they already have this thing in their mind that yes, we know about Jira, we want to use it, and we need your help to configure it, basically to get the most out of it, which is actually a good thing because we, as an Atlassian consultants, we don't really have to do a lot of selling, but it's more about how to make Jira so good for them so that they can do their job wonderfully, right? Now, the thing is that I always say that don't use Jira just for the sake of it. Jira is a great tool. You can solve a lot of problems using Jira. And of course, there are other tools, but Jira has that advantage because we have been using Jira. We know the benefits of using Jira. But in any case, you should always, on a regular basis, keep a check or try to get some feedback from your teams about your usage of the tool and in a way try to measure, which is of course not really easy. I'm not really saying that you follow these 3 things or 10 things, follow this template, and then you can after 6 months measure whether your Jira deployment was successful or it was not successful, right? Something like that. But in this video, I thought I'll probably talk about a few things that will hopefully give you an idea. Again, the idea here is to just initiate the conversation, just start thinking about it. You can, of course, find your own ways to measure the successful deployment of your Jira instance. So the first thing that you should do, that you can do, is try to figure out whether your teams are happy or not. Now, of course, when you roll out Jira, you will eventually be asking someone to do something in Jira, right? So it could be a team who was previously using emails or Excel sheet or some other tool, and they have recently moved to Jira, or they have moved to Jira maybe 6 months back, and it has been 6 months, or maybe it has been 1 year. Now you can ask them, or maybe try to ask them whether they are happy or not, right? And I don't really think people ask this question a lot because when you are asking someone to use a new tool, it will be, of course, difficult for them, and the way you would configure Jira can actually make your teams unhappy. They can feel frustrated that yes, we have to use Jira, but it is very difficult. We have to fill up a long form. We have to follow a process, and it is, of course, too bureaucratic, which is in a way true because when you are using Jira, when you want to use Jira, you want to implement processes. You want to force people to follow some kind of a path, right? So there has to be a balance, and try not to make your teams unhappy. At the same time, of course, we are talking about teams, but also try to get an idea about your customers, your clients, whether they are happy or not. And it may not sound obvious, but there is always some relation. If your clients are not happy, if your customers are not happy, then in a way, not always, but sometimes, or maybe indirectly, it could be due to the bad implementation of a tool that your company is or has been doing. For example, you have configured a tool, like let us say JSM, right? So you may have configured JSM with all the processes, but it is taking a long time for your agents to resolve a ticket, right? It could be due to some releases which you are trying to do with the help of Jira software, and just because you have too many processes, just because you have lack of clarity, the way you have configured the tool, maybe it is reflected in your delivery, in your project, in your product, or your service. So if your customers are happy, then in a way it's a good thing. So I think these things may or may not directly be related to Jira, but you will get an idea, right? And you can then try to connect the dots. The next thing that you can do is try to figure out whether your company or team is delivering or not delivering, right? And there are so many metrics that you can do. It could be based on some releases that you wanted to do, or some plan that you wanted to implement, but you are always late, you are never really on time, and you can always get an idea. And you can do that at the company level, you can do that at a team level. Maybe look at your team who was using no tool at all, and now they have been using Jira for 6 months. Ask them, are they happy? Yes, they are happy. Ask them whether your customers are happy. They will give you some feedback, and then you can ask them whether you have been able to deliver on time, or whether with the help of this tool there were any problems with trying to figure out what they were supposed to do, and they were never really 100% sure about the outcome or the deliverables. So Jira will bring in that transparency. Jira will, of course, help you keep on track. And of course, these things are all related to each other. You can also, at the same time, ask them that, is there any clear ownership? For example, if you're using Jira, then in Jira, of course, Jira is nothing but an issue tracker, right? Everything is an issue in Jira. And then what you do with that issue, how you organize your work around those issues, is something that you have to plan. It could be as simple as trying to figure out who is the project lead, who is the assignee or owner of those epics, who is the test management lead. So if you're using a tool like Jira, then you should have, without any doubt, clear ownership. If there is no clear ownership, then it's a problem. Now, the next thing that you can try to figure out is, and get this feedback from everyone, not just the leads or managers, but also the engineers or developers. Try to ask them if they are able to confidently get the status of the project, or the story, the epic, the bug, or a release from Jira, and are they able to trust it? So having clear ownership is very important, because when you have clear ownership, you know who is supposed to do what, so there is no confusion. And when you have clear ownership, then you would have clear action plan, right? If something is assigned to me, and if I'm a developer, then my responsibility is to make sure that I resolve the bug, or I work on that particular story that was assigned to me in sprint 34, and I have not done it yet, and there is only like limited time left. So when you have clear ownership, then the next thing that you can do is try to get an idea about whether they can trust the data in Jira, whether they can tell by opening a Jira dashboard that yes, these are all the tickets that are assigned to me, or maybe assigned to my colleagues, or maybe in a particular sprint. And yes, I can trust this data. I trust the status of these issues. Because if you're using a tool like Jira, if you're not really keeping it up to date, if you're not ensuring that your developers are changing the status and they're not reflecting back, or basically whatever they are doing in reality is not there in Jira, then there is no point. It could be as simple as looking at the comments, right? For example, I work on when I do my work for my clients, I of course use Jira, right? It is obvious. And when we use Jira, we can obviously look at the status, or we can look at the last comment that we have, because if the status is in progress, but the last comment is from July, and right now it is November, so it means that we are not updating the status of the issues on time. The next thing related to this is about whether people are able to find their stuff easily or not. And when I say find their stuff, it means that they know how to use Jira. It means that they are able to search for the information related to them. It means that they know how to search and where to search. It could be as simple as looking at the issues, or it could be just a matter of looking at the board, or a filter, or some dashboard, or some easy BI report, or whatever it is. Basically, people should know how to do some basic stuff in Jira, especially about like getting the information out of Jira, like searching. And people struggle with it a lot. When I work with new Jira users or managers or someone who has recently started using Jira or they are looking to start using Jira, they struggle with finding the information. And I know it's nothing to worry about. It's more about training them, telling them what to do, and of course helping them. And for this part, you have to make sure that your leads, your managers, your scrum masters, or maybe your Jira admins or consultants, they know how to basically improve the usage of the tool. The next thing that I want to also share is about stakeholders. Now, we have been talking about a lot of things like, ownership, training, we're talking about happiness, we're talking about delivering. But when it comes to using a tool like Jira, for your developers, for your users, for managers, yes, they will be using the tool. But most importantly, your stakeholders, people who are responsible for delivering, people who can actually lose their jobs, people who get fired if things are not done on time, people who actually worry about these things. Because as a developer, you may not always worry about missing a delivery. I mean, you will be and you should be, but you won't worry about losing a job, right? But for a stakeholder where they have like a lot of money is involved and they're supposed to deliver it, or maybe your account managers who interact with, or maybe someone who is interfacing with the clients or customers, they confidently look at Jira or some report and can they find out the overall status of maybe your project or a delivery? Is it possible or not possible? If it is not possible, then there's something which is wrong. And it can be as simple as, they may not have access to Jira, but can they ask a project manager? And going back to the previous point, like, can we look at Jira and confidently tell the status? This is in a way related, but this time I'm talking about stakeholders. Because for a stakeholder, usually they will send you a message on Teams or Slack, or maybe they will call you, Ravi, I want to know the current status in terms of percentage of this particular release. Are we able to deliver it or not, right? So they will ask you some high-level questions, some difficult questions, and if you're not able to, by looking at Jira, if you're not able to provide that information, then I'm not really saying the Jira implementation is a failure, but you have to probably think about it. You have to probably start tweaking about it, because these things will come. These things will definitely come, because people do look at and they want to look at the data that is coming from Jira. And talking about data, are you able to use Jira data to create some measurable metrics? So, of course, your stakeholders can ask you a question, but Jira is a big repository of data. You have a lot of information in Jira. Can you report on it? And if you can report on it, or maybe before you start reporting on it, maybe think about, can you, in a way, or should you be reporting? Because Jira has a lot of information when it comes to dates, when it comes to statuses, when it comes to the assignee or ownership. And using this information, you can do a lot of wonderful things. If you want, you can do it within Jira. You can, of course, use apps like EasyBI. But in most cases, you want to do reporting outside Jira. Jira is not really a tool for heavy reporting. You can do a few things, but not really a lot. Usually people want to, import data from Jira and they dump it somewhere and then they report on it. They run their reports or metrics on it. So if you are able to confidently report on Jira data, then in a way you can say that yes, Jira implementation has been a success. So what I'm trying to tell you in this video is these points that I just talked about, like happiness of your customers, happiness of your teams. Are you able to deliver? Do you have a clear ownership? Are you able to search? Are you able to tell the status by looking at things in Jira? These things will help you to think about it. And especially if you are a new Jira user, or maybe in your company you have just started using Jira, then maybe these points can be like a checklist. And again, you don't always have to measure, and you cannot always measure everything, but you can always get an idea. You can always get a feeling, and that feeling will give you some confidence. And of course, this video is not only for Jira users, not only for project managers, but it is basically for those people who are like at CTO level, or someone who is responsible for driving the whole Jira rollout initiative. Because if you have these points in your checklist, then every 6 months, you don't have to do it on a regular basis. I think once in a while, a couple of times in a year, just look at this checklist, do maybe some kind of an exercise, maybe have some process where you just store this information that you get from everyone, like feedback, and then look at it and think about it, and maybe try to find out some ways on how you can improve your Jira implementation and Jira rollout. Okay, so that is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much.